Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. This is Pradeep and you're watching Vlog of Note. Welcome to the first video of 2020. So a couple of days back, I did a video on what can Samsung do in 2020, and I said in that video that Apple is overcovered in the US media. But I think in this video, we need to talk about what can Apple do in India for India in 2020. Let's get started. So all of this was inspired by an article that I was reading a couple of days back for fun. It was a Counterpoint research article and it was talking about the premium smartphone sales in India in Q3 of 2019. According to that article, after 7 straight quarters, Apple has finally managed to grow their smartphone sales in India. That's right, Apple was declining for 7 quarters and then in Q3 of 2019 they managed to grow their sales. Obviously, this is because of the iPhone XR, an excellent phone. It was the second best selling premium smartphone in India in the quarter. Now, an important thing that you should consider if you're watching this video anywhere outside of India, in India what passes for a premium smartphone is anything above 30,000 rupees or $420. Also, some other facts from the report. 66% was the growth year over year, an all-time high. Oneplus, that amazing company, grew 95% and the number of premium smartphones launched in the quarter was 20, an all-time high. Anyway, let's talk about Apple now. There are 3 things that I think they should do in 2020 in India. Firstly, they should cut prices. I've spoken about this at length. Apple products, especially iPhones, are incredibly expensive in India. You can actually catch a flight from here to Hong Kong and then buy an iPhone and then come back and you could still save some money. The reasons that Apple iPhones are so expensive in India are many. You can go through Quora. There are many conspiracy theories, mostly involving Apple, the Indian government and distributors. But I think one of the main reasons is that Apple was not allowed to sell directly in India. They had to sell through distributors, and also up until recently, Apple did not do large-scale manufacturing in India. Last year, it turns out the government made some changes to their local sourcing requirements in their FDI rules. Up until now, you had to have 30% local sourcing requirements in your FDI in your single brand retail, but now it turns out that that 30% can also be counted from the goods that you export from India, and even that is going away in the next 5 years. So it means that for the first time in basically forever, Apple is going to be setting up an online store in India and selling directly to consumers. And you remember their flagship stores like the one they have in New York? Well, Apple is going to be setting up 3 of those flagship stores in India in 2020. The second thing that I think Apple can do is launch the iPhone SE 2 or 2s or the iPhone 9. According to Ming Chi Kuo, the successor to Apple's very famous iPhone SE is coming in 2020 in March of this year. According to him, the phone will be 4.7 inches LCD. Unfortunately, it will be modeled after the iPhone 8 in design, which was pretty good. Also, it will have a single rear camera. It will have Touch ID and no Face ID. It will be available in the colors of space gray, silver and red for some odd reason. It will be available at 64 GB or 128 GB. It will feature 3 GB of RAM and the excellent Apple A13 chip. And get this, it will be sold for $399, which means that in 2020, Apple will be launching in the month of April in India the iPhone SE Series 2 or the iPhone XE or whatever that thing is going to be called for 30,000 rupees, because remember, they now have manufacturing in Bangalore. The final thing that Apple can do for India in 2020 is to bring themselves up to industry standards. Now, Apple, USB-C and storage. The iPhone 10, the iPhone XS and the iPhone 11 Pro were all part of one cycle and they all had Lightning. The iPhone 12 Pro is supposed to be a completely new cycle and hopefully it will have USB-C, because a lot of us in India don't have Lightning cables lying around, but we definitely have many of those USB-C cables. The other industry standard that Apple can catch up with is storage. So the original iPhone, the OG iPhone, the one that started it all, launched with 2 GB of storage. After that, we were extremely grateful to Apple for giving us 8 GB and then 16 GB. We were bowled over by 32 GB and we practically cried when Apple gave us 64 GB. Imagine you've scrounged together the money to buy your spanking new iPhone only to find out that it will run out of space in a couple of months. Apple, in 2020, your base storage should be at least 128 GB. It was rumored in 2019, but it did not happen. So at least in 2020, we want base storage of 120 GB on all our iPhones. That's about it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Drop your comments on what you think Apple should do in India in 2020 in the comment section down below. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to the Vlog of Note channel. Ring that notification bell there so that you never miss a video, and I will see you guys in the next week's episode.